Keir Starmer is facing quite the local revolt that could have far-reaching implications for his leadership and the future of the Parliament. In chaos as Labour MPs turn on Starmer and call for his immediate resignation. But is it a surprise we have reached this point? Tensions have reached a boiling point within the Labour Party as MPs publicly revolt against their own leader, Keir Starmer. Once seen as the party's stabilising force, Starmer is now facing fierce criticism from both ends of the political spectrum. Some MPs accuse him of steering the party into disarray, describing his leadership style as confusing and ineffective, more focused on clever rhetoric than meaningful action. Others argue that he's failed to represent the progressive values that once defined Labour, pushing them to resign in frustration. This growing rebellion signals a deepening crisis for Starmer, with a sense among some members that the party is losing its footing, especially in the capital. These are the MPs who believe the writing is on the wall for Starmer's leadership and Labour's current direction. One notable voice of dissent was Rosie Duffield, the MP for Canterbury. A few months ago, she made the difficult decision to resign from the Labour Party. She pointed at Keir Starmer's cruel and unnecessary policies such as cuts to the winter fuel allowance, the continuation of the two-child benefit cap, and a growing scandal involving lavish gifts reportedly worth over $100,000. These included Taylor Swift tickets and designer clothing from Lord Wahed Ali. In her resignation letter, Duffield didn't hold back. She accused Starmer of nepotism and a disturbing level of greed, saying it was off the scale. "I am so ashamed of what you and your inner circle have done to tarnish and humiliate our once proud party," she wrote. Duffield went on to question how someone with such significant personal wealth could defend keeping policies that push children into poverty, while at the same time accepting expensive gifts like designer suits and glasses that most families could never afford.
She's accused the government of cruel and unnecessary policies. Are you taking what she said on board?
Well, look, I regret that Rosie's made this decision. It's probably not a secret that she's been unhappy for some time. The list of things mentioned in the resignation letter makes that pretty clear. I see ministers turning up every day, working to grow the economy, turn around the NHS, get more houses built, get more opportunity in schools. That's the kind of thing that we are focused on. That's the kind of thing that we're trying to do. I'm sorry she's made the decision to leave. I like Rosie. I regret that she's left, but as the letter makes clear, I think she's been unhappy for quite a while now.
In her view, it was behaviour completely unworthy of someone who aspires to be Labour Prime Minister. But she wasn't the only one who became disillusioned with Starmer's leadership within the Labour Party.
Well, let's get some more on this now. Delighted to be joined by the chief political correspondent at The Times, Aubrey Aligretti. Because, Aubrey, in her resignation letter to the Prime Minister, Annalisa Dodds makes it clear that she had decided to resign some days ago, but wanted to hold off from making this public until the Prime Minister returned from his Washington trip.
Absolutely. It seems that this announcement sort of started brewing on Monday, but that most cabinet ministers didn't find out until their weekly meeting with the Prime Minister on Tuesday. And there was only a very short space of time between that cabinet meeting and Keir Starmer's statement to the Commons, where he laid out this cut to international development spending, saying that it was going to be part of offsetting the increases to defence spending that he wanted to take with him to the White House. Now, Annalise Dodds is the International Development Minister. She has at various points been quite high profile in the Labour Party. She was briefly Sir Keir Starmer's first shadow chancellor, and she was gradually sort of reshuffled down the pecking order during his tenure as leader. But now, in her new role as International Development Minister, she has decided to take a principled stand, saying she didn't want to interrupt or sort of overshadow Keir Starmer's trip to the US. But clearly, she's been wrestling with this for several days and decided now is the right time to sort of stand up and take a stand in a resignation letter, which is very critical of the impact and the effects of this decision on Britain's global standing and for countries that rely on this aid around the world.
Yes, indeed. It's a reasonably long letter, detailed, as you say, and she's made it public today. Do we have any reason, is there no reason to believe that this might be a resignation for any other reason other than this foreign aid? It could be that this is what she's putting public.
Well, I mean, I think there's every reason for her as the International Aid Minister to want to quit over basically a huge cut to...
Annalise Dodds resigned in February 2025 in protest over Starmer's controversial decision to boost defence spending by slashing the foreign aid and welfare budgets. As Minister for International Development, Dodds didn't hold back. She warned that these cuts would hit the most vulnerable people hardest, stripping away access to food and health care from those who rely on it most. She accused Starmer of downplaying the real consequences and argued that this move could seriously damage Britain's global reputation. 20 councillors from Broxtowe Council in Nottinghamshire have resigned from the party altogether. This is a sudden exit of the group and was led by council leader Milan Rajulovich, a Labour.
And this beginning will be about serving the people and residents and the businesses in Broxtowe to ensure that we achieve what we want to achieve, which is social equality and a fair deal for all. And we will do what we can to protect jobs and services to those who are most vulnerable. I'd like to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me. Quite a few of you've done that a long time. But I stand before you today a very humble but very proud person in the fact that the dedicated team that you see behind you and the supporters that you see all around you here today have committed large parts of their life towards service of their community. We are not about to let it be steamrolled by Westminster dictates. We will be trying to disassemble the elite in this country and to return local democracy and local services back to local people where it belongs.
Party member for over 4 decades. Rajulovich, along with 19 other Labour councillors from Broxtowe, made headlines by stepping down from their positions. Rajulovich, who was leading the Broxtowe Council at the time, voiced deep frustration with the direction the Labour Party was heading under Keir Starmer. Their decision wasn't made lightly.
The public health evidence is so clear. 2.1 million pensioners living in poverty. That was our inheritance. But we have got to protect them every single day. They make the hardest budgetary decisions, harder than those of the Treasury, where there are choices. They have no choice. They have to put a roof over their head. They have to pay for their food, and they have to pay for their heating. And we know that now those sums aren't adding up, and we're getting the letters coming in. We're looking at the figures that our constituents have to look at every single day, and they're scared. And they're telling us they're frightened because they won't switch the switch, because they know if they do, they will have bills that they cannot pay. And we need to protect.
Rachel Mascll, MP for York Central, has voiced strong concerns about Starmer's proposed £5 billion cuts to welfare, describing them as like taking a sledgehammer to benefits. She's been hearing from worried constituents who fear losing vital support and is pushing back against the harsh tone of the government's message. Here's how she put it. "What I'm most concerned about is the narrative. I'm getting letters from constituents who are very, very worried about losing their benefits. Taking a sledgehammer to benefits is not the right approach, but things are taking a different direction this time, and it is not in the way Starmer would like. A large number of Labour MPs are not interested in leaving the party for Starmer, the way Duffield and Dodds did. Instead, they want him gone. This group, including Mascll, is planning a complete rebellion. Reports suggest up to 80 MPs are considering rebelling over the plan when it comes up again in Parliament. However, things get even crazier. Clive Lewis, the MP for Norwich South, Lewis made it clear that many people in his community feel let down and that the move has only deepened frustration among those on the left who are already uneasy with Keir Starmer's centrist direction. Clive Lewis voiced strong concerns about the government's welfare cuts, saying they've sparked real anger among his constituents as well as his friends and family. He argued that these kinds of decisions don't reflect what a Labour government should stand for. In addition, you have Jess Phillips. Recently, during a crucial vote on a Gaza ceasefire, Jess Phillips made the difficult decision to resign from her front bench role. She broke ranks with Starmer by supporting an SNP amendment he refused to back, joining 55 other Labour MPs in a significant rebellion. For Phillips, it wasn't a move taken lightly. In a heartfelt statement, she opened up about the emotional toll of the decision. "This week has been one of the toughest I've experienced since becoming an MP. I did everything I could to try and avoid this outcome, but in the end, I have to follow my conscience. It's with a heavy heart that I'm stepping down." Her words reflected the gravity of the moment, not just for her, but for many in the party, grappling with the complexities of war, party loyalty and moral responsibility. Then you have Nadia Whittomey, MP for Nottingham East. She strongly criticised the Labour Party's decision to suspend 7 of its MPs. Their offence? Supporting an SNP amendment that aimed to scrap the 2-child benefit cap, a policy many argue unfairly penalises larger families. Whittomey called the move appalling and expressed deep concern over the party's intolerance of differing views. A political party should be able to handle disagreement without resorting to punishment, she said. Frankly, all these Labour MPs individually don't represent much threat to Starmer's leadership and his chances to remain in Westminster. However, together, they represent a significant resistance group capable of hurting his chances to remain the leader of the party. However, it remains to be seen how Starmer will react to this significant threat within his party. Will he remain silent or react like he usually does by getting all of them out of the party? Talking about the party, Starmer just had a monumental meeting that will have a monumental impact on his possible future. According to reports, Keir Starmer has told his MPs he will fight Nigel Farage as Labour at an anxious private meeting where the Prime Minister faced criticism from his party on migration, welfare and the government's strategy. One MP called for Starmer to sack the speechwriter who used the phrase "island of strangers" in last week's migration speech. 2 others said they felt the speech had departed from Labour values. Starmer said that Labour had a moral responsibility to make sure Farage never wins, and the party would be bolder about its achievements, especially on jobs and the cost of living. The Conservatives are not our principal opponent. Reform are our main rivals for power, he told MPs. We have to be clear that every opportunity has had in this Parliament to back working people, he's voted against. Telling the workers at Jaguar Land Rover they deserve to go bust, a state-slashing, NHS privatising Putin apologist, without a single patriotic bone in his body. We will take the fight to him. We will fight as Labour. The remarks were seen by some MPs as a tacit acknowledgement of the criticism that Starmer's language last week came too close to the rhetoric employed by Farage and Reform UK. Several Labour MPs had openly criticised the Prime Minister for suggesting the UK risked becoming an island of strangers and that migration had done incalculable damage. MPs leaving the PLP meeting said Starmer was peppered with hostile questions from those present. One said of the 26 questions, none were positive, and criticism came on a range of different issues where MPs were angry, including cuts to disability benefits and Starmer's migration speech, as well inaction on Gaza. However, Downing Street has been accused of being completely tone-deaf over the damage wreaked by winter fuel cuts, as new polling suggested 2/3 of voters would back a rethink on the policy. Senior Labour ministers have privately warned the policy is an electoral disaster, while Eluned Morgan, the Welsh First Minister, said she was losing patience with UK Labour as she urged the government to think again.
Now, I haven't heard the Leader of the Opposition clarify why she opposes all these things, but now is her chance.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bernal.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister can plant as many questions as is like with his backbenchers. But at the end of the day, I'm the one he has to face at the dispatch box. And I welcome him, Mr. Speaker. I welcome him back from... Mr. Speaker, I welcome the Prime Minister back from his trip to Azerbaijan, where he has unilaterally made commitments that will make life more experienced for everyone back home. Speaking of making life...
Somebody's suggesting reading. I think if you notice, the Prime Minister also reads. So please get your
At the moment, most voters see Labour as a party out to punish them, and that has reflected in the way the latest local elections have gone. So, Starmer deciding to fight Farage and Reform UK isn't the only thing he will worry about in the next few weeks. If you enjoyed this political firestorm, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating political content.